Welcome back to the Hydro Haven channel. If you've ever spent months babysitting a compost pile only to end up with a smelly, half-rotted mess that attracts every pest in the neighborhood, you're not alone. If you've ever spent months babysitting a compost pile only to end up with a smelly, half-rotted mess that attracts every pest in the neighborhood, you're not alone. The truth is, most home composters are making the same critical mistakes that turn what should be a quick, rewarding process into a frustrating year-long wait. The truth is, most home composters are making the same critical mistakes that turn what should be a quick, rewarding process into a frustrating year-long wait. I've seen compost piles that sat for 2 years and were still recognizable as last season's kitchen scraps. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid these common pitfalls and create rich, dark, garden-ready compost in just 10 days. Not months, not weeks, days. This isn't some gardening fairy tale. It's entirely possible with the right approach, and I'm going to walk you through every single step of this game-changing process. The biggest composting mistakes you're probably making. Before diving into the solution, let's identify where most composters go wrong. The number one mistake is treating your compost pile like a waste disposal system, tossing in kitchen scraps whenever they accumulate and hoping nature will eventually do something magical. This passive approach virtually guarantees slow decomposition. The second critical error is improper balance between green and brown materials, usually heavily skewed toward kitchen scraps, or greens, without sufficient carbon-rich browns to balance them. Third, most home composters build piles that are simply too small to generate and maintain the heat necessary for rapid decomposition. Fourth, insufficient moisture levels, either bone-dry or swamp-like, prevent beneficial microbes from thriving. And finally, neglecting to turn the pile frequently keeps oxygen levels too low for the aerobic bacteria that do the heavy lifting in fast composting. Each of these mistakes adds weeks or months to your composting timeline. But today, we're fixing all of them with a systematic approach that produces results in just 10 days. Gathering your materials. The foundation of fast compost. For 10-day composting success, preparation is everything. You'll need 4 categories of materials: tools, brown ingredients, green ingredients, and compost activators. For tools, gather a garden fork or dedicated compost turner, a compost thermometer, this is non-negotiable for fast composting, a water source with spray nozzle, pruning shears for cutting larger materials, and a tarp. For browns or carbon materials, collect fallen leaves, shredded paper or cardboard, sawdust from untreated wood, straw, not hay which contains seeds, or dried plant material. For greens or nitrogen materials, gather fresh grass clippings, vegetable scraps, no meat, dairy or oils, coffee grounds, fresh plant trimmings or herbivore animal manures. For activators that supercharge the process, have on hand some existing compost, rich garden soil, comfrey leaves, alfalfa meal, or commercially available compost starter. The key to 10-day success is having all materials ready before you begin. This isn't a process where you can add materials gradually over time. Preparation size matters more than you think. The size of your compost materials dramatically affects decomposition speed. Think of it as surface area for microbes to work on. Chop, shred, or break down all materials to approximately 1-inch pieces. Run woody materials through a chipper or cut them with pruners. Tear cardboard into small strips. Chop kitchen scraps into smaller pieces. A few pulses in a food processor works wonders if you have large quantities. This preparation step might seem tedious, but it can literally shave weeks off your composting time. Scene 2. Layering and monitoring the compost pile. Time code 00030000000033000. Building your power pile the right size and structure. Building your power pile, the right size and structure. For 10-day composting, size is crucial. You need a minimum of 1 cubic yard, that's 3 by 3 by 3 feet, to generate and maintain sufficient heat. Smaller piles simply can't reach or sustain the temperatures needed for rapid decomposition. Start by creating a 4-inch base layer of coarser materials like small twigs or torn cardboard tubes to ensure airflow from beneath. Next, build your pile in layers using a simple ratio: 2 parts browns to 1 part greens by volume, not by weight. In practice, this means alternating roughly 4-inch layers of brown materials with 2-inch layers of green materials. After each layer, lightly spray with water until materials are as damp as a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping. Continue building until you reach at least 3 feet in height. Finish with a layer of compost activator materials sprinkled over the top, then lightly mixed into the upper few inches. This layering technique ensures proper carbon-to-nitrogen ratio throughout the pile while maintaining adequate structure for air circulation, 2 critical factors for rapid decomposition. Putting your 10-day compost to work. This rapidly produced compost can be used immediately in several ways. For vegetable gardens, incorporate it into the soil about 2 weeks before planting. using approximately 2 to 3 inches worked into the top 6 inches of soil. This brief waiting period allows any remaining heat-generating activity to dissipate before planting. Scaling the method from apartment to acreage. The beauty of this 10-day method is its scalability. For apartment dwellers with limited space, use a 30-gallon trash can with holes drilled throughout for airflow. Follow the same layering principles but turn the contents by rolling the can on its side or using a compost aerator tool. For larger properties, multiple bins can be set up in sequence, allowing you to have continual compost production every 10 days. Commercial operations can apply these same principles using windrows or large-scale bins with the same impressive results. The science behind rapid decomposition remains consistent regardless of scale. Proper carbon-to-nitrogen ratios, adequate moisture, sufficient oxygen, and appropriate pile size always produce predictably fast results when managed correctly. If you found this accelerated composting method helpful, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with fellow gardeners who might be tired of waiting months for compost. This 10-day method has completely transformed my own garden's productivity, and I'd love to see your results too. Drop a comment below letting me know about your composting experiences or questions, and I'll be sure to respond. Until next time, here's to rich soil and abundant harvests from everyone at Hydro Haven.